Rachel Wax is a magician based in New York City, and this is a trick she does all the time.
I usually stand for this, so I don't know if you want to...
She takes out 3 different lengths of rope.
Give it a tug, check it for magnets.
She makes them all the same length, turns 2 into 1, cuts the ends off, makes it a loop.
So I simply take the ends, I tie them right back on. Allison, would you blow on those for me? And they melt right back on, just like that.
It's a complicated set. It took Rachel 2 years to feel comfortable performing it.
It's a lot of pressure, because people paid a lot of money and they took their time to come watch you.
Messing up a trick can mess up a show, can mess up your whole career.
I would never do something that I had not at least practiced a million times in the mirror. It's like I can't stop thinking about whether or not I have all my props until I'm literally on stage performing.
But things can and do go wrong. Like the time she brought the wrong ropes on stage.
So I made a joke about it, ran off stage, grabbed the right props, ran back out, and everyone applauded me.
That's because Rachel has a secret weapon: comedy.
Was this the shape of your card?
Comedy is her insurance. When the worst happens, she's covered. Because magic is risky, and she needs the audience on her side.
Ready to go.
This is a series about risk.
Risk.
Risk. Risk.
Risk.
Risk.
How to measure it, how to manage it, and how to prepare for the completely unexpected.
You know, risk isn't all bad, it's mostly good. And it is something that you can manage.
That's Allison Schrager. She wrote this book on risk. In the last episode, we talked about measuring risks, why it's important to look at data, but also understand what it's telling you. Once you know what you're up against, you can protect yourself. That's risk management.
Any risk management strategy is meant to reduce the risk that things go wrong.
But it's not just about reducing risk. It's also about striving for more. There are 2 key ways to do this: hedging and insurance.
That's literally poker in a nutshell, is risk management. That's all you're doing.
Annie Duke was a professional poker player for close to 20 years. She's also an author, public speaker, and has appeared on The Celebrity Apprentice.
You're a poker player. A poker player.
And here she is, winning the biggest hand of her life.
You win.
This is the 2004 invite-only World Series of Poker tournament. She's up against legendary poker player Phil Hellmuth, and the prize is $2 million, winner take all. Except what we see here isn't the full picture. Annie didn't win $2 million, and that's because she hedged her bets.
So a lot of times what people do is they'll make a deal with the other player. And so you're just sort of locking up part of the money in order to mitigate your risk.
Before this hand, Annie and Phil met backstage, and they cut a deal. No matter who won, each of them would take home $750,000, and the winner would get the remaining $500,000.
Hedging is de-risking, so it's giving up some of that upside. In exchange for that, you get rid of some of your downside.
Annie cut down the total amount of money she could win, but she knew she wouldn't walk away empty-handed. It was worth the $750,000 to mitigate the risk, given the amount of money at stake and how much of that would be up to chance.
The tournament is very often decided just on one big hand.
She's won every freaking race.
You can see that Phil's not thrilled, but he admits the $750,000 softened the blow. Hedging your bets in poker is where most of us have heard the term, but we all hedge. Think about your commute to work. Driving or public transport is usually faster, but there might be traffic or delays, so you decide to walk. Or for dinner, maybe you make your safe, reliable recipe instead of going for a new challenge. Rachel will hedge in a magic show if the crowd doesn't feel quite right.
I wouldn't necessarily try something new or something that I wasn't 100% comfortable with somebody that was a serious skeptic.
Whenever she does decide to give the trick a shot, that's when insurance comes in. Insurance is basically a backup plan that you pay for up front. We all know how this works in healthcare. You pay a premium each month, then if something happens in the meantime, you're covered.
And insurance is pretty cool. Because what insurance is, you don't give up your upside. You get to keep it.
Unlike hedging, you don't have to take less risk, so you can maximize your reward.
Of course, paying someone to take away your downside can be very expensive. And the question is that worth it?
How much you pay for insurance depends on a few different factors, but generally the more likely you are to use it, the more you pay. For Rachel, the chance that she'll need insurance depends on her audience. She's been doing magic since she was 15. The stakes were low back then. Performing professionally added more risk.
There's always a first time you're doing a trick for people. You can't avoid that.
That's why she started thinking about risk management.
And I realized that I needed to take more control over the situation.
And that meant putting in the work. Rachel spent years watching stand-up specials, talking to comedians, and practicing her lines.
You have to have a line for every moment because that is sort of what your character is built of. What was your card?
I'm not supposed to tell you.
I'm not a mentalist.
Now she performs weekly at a close-up magic show in New York. And even though she's mastered her tricks, Rachel still pays for insurance at the beginning of each new set. It costs time and effort to win over every new audience.
I only have a handful of minutes at each table, so it's really important to set the tone you want to set immediately upon sitting down, because you're sort of creating this unique experience for just a few minutes for these people, and then you're gone. Dead, actually. That's funny. Can we keep that?
The intimate setting also allows Rachel to gauge whether her safety net is there to catch her if she falls.
You can see everyone's face. You can see everyone's reaction. It's really after that first trick when I can tell how the rest of the set's gonna go and whether or not I have that insurance locked in.
Risk management improves your chances of a risk paying off. But it has another effect too.
Knowing that you have the safety there encourages you to take more risk.
For Rachel, that's meant performing harder tricks for bigger audiences. But it happens all the time. Take surfing. In the late 80s, a surfer died after wiping out on a wave in Hawaii. After that, the lifeguard on duty started using jet skis for rapid medical attention and lobbied for their legal use in rescues. Now they're standard for the sport. Suddenly, surfers had an insurance policy, and they started chasing waves twice as high as before. But at the same time, less experienced surfers started getting riskier too.
If they are surfing a wave they don't have the skill for, they need to be rescued, and that diverts resources and exposes the rescuers to risk.
And that's because while insurance can empower you to take bigger risks, it can also create an illusion of safety. This is called the Peltzman Effect, named after economist Sam Peltzman. In 1975, he observed that widespread seatbelt use, anti-lock brakes, and power steering led to more accidents on the road, not less.
Because people know they're safer in their cars, they drive faster. The point of insurance is to feel more comfortable taking on risk. I mean, that's what it's there for. Should it empower you to feel like comfortable surfing an 80-foot wave? Probably not.
In the end, risk management is all about balance.
I think that's the biggest thing that I've pulled from comedy is gauging who will find what funny and when to walk right up to that line and when to back up from it.
Part of the appeal of watching magicians is experiencing the illusion of high risk from the comfort of your chair.
The words I would use are awe-inspiring.
3, 2, 1.
It feels like it's all up to chance, but Rachel's in control. That's because she has a pretty good idea of what could go wrong in her shows. She knows what to insure against.
Messing up a trick, forgetting a prop, making someone feel uncomfortable.
When she messes up, the illusion stays intact.
She was like, "You are gonna believe everything I do right now?" And I was like, "Yes, I am."
That's good risk management. But then there are things Rachel could never even imagine happening. Lightning strikes the building. A wild animal charges on stage. The completely unpredictable requires a whole different approach, which you'll learn in the next episode. I hope you feel more risk literate after watching this video. It's part of a series we made exclusively for Quartz members. If it sparked more questions about navigating risk in your day-to-day, leave a contribution below and keep watching for more episodes.